Let's cross over now to Westlands, Nairobi, where NASA leaders claim the Alliance's tallying center in Westlands was raided by police on Friday night, causing damage to property and confiscating other property. We join NTV's Ken Mijungu live from Westlands, who's following that developing story. The press conference is ongoing right now. Let's listen in.
The same kind of equipment and arrangement, on election day. That would serve the same purpose. In relation to the arrest of these Americans, the Canadian and the Ghanaians, you just saw the other day the leader of the opposition and a presidential candidate in Tanzania was able to come here. He didn't have a work permit. All that happened, he came, attended a rally, supposedly to persuade the Ma community that they should vote for Jubilee. We think that for a government in power, that alone is sending a signal to our neighbors, particularly the government of Tanzania, that we are not friends. At least that the government here and the government in Tanzania are not friends. I think it was ill-advised for them to use an opposition leader in Tanzania to come here and campaign for Jubilee, while at the same time we want to maintain cordial relations with Tanzania. I know that opposition leaders here have gone, for example, in Uganda, but you'd find in a lot of those cases, the leaders in the opposition, especially from our coalition, have never gone there to tell Ugandans who to vote for. There's also a character called Masanga who says all manner of things about the Kenyan political situation, and particularly on matters ICC. He has been here. He is a political commentator. He never crosses the border to Uganda to do or carry out the same activity, and is left untouched. And one American, one Canadian, from two people from friendly countries, and two Ghanaians, a country which has had long cordial relationship with Kenya. I remember when we got independence, the first national team that came here to play football was the Black Stars of Ghana. For these individuals to be treated the manner they were treated last night and this morning, as marks of a country which has decided that freedoms do not matter, the law does not matter, the constitution does not matter, and that nothing can stand on their way in their bid for power. But I think the Kenyan people are not going to allow this to happen, and they should not take for granted the resilience of Kenyans, because when it matters, Kenyans always stand up for their rights, whatever the price has to be paid. Therefore, we will continue in our activities towards the election. We are going to a rally now to Uhuru Park. All our principals are going to be there, and it is a rally which is going to be the crowning moment of the campaign, urging the people to turn out in large numbers to come and vote for our presidential candidate Raila Amolo Odinga, and vote the coalition in with huge majorities in the National Assembly, the Senate, the county governments, including the seats of governors and the members of the county assemblies. I
All right, Victoria, it's a very interesting development right here. One of the reasons why I say it's very interesting is because we are getting some of the details that we didn't have last night. Remember, NTV was the first at the scene at Sifa Towers last night. We have since learned that indeed there was no raid at Sifa Towers. The explanation that was given by a senator who was speaking to us here, and I'll tell you momentarily where we are, is that one of the gentlemen who are working here actually has an office at Sifa Towers. So when this building was raided and his name was mentioned, it was assumed automatically that the raid was at Sifa Towers. So they have clarified first that it was not at Sifa, but one of the gentlemen associated with this place has an office also at Sifa Towers. And indeed, NASA is saying they don't even have a tallying center at Sifa Towers. However, Vicky, they're saying they have several tallying centers in the country, and even the fact that this has been vandalized does not affect them. But there is real fear after this raid. They don't know clearly the motive. However, they are alluding to the fact that it could be that their opponents want to sort of discourage their voters, that indeed they have been compromised and that can no longer handle their own tallying. So that is part of the story. Now, the second part of the story, Vicky, is that we are learning the same information that was sent outside to the media, broadcasted yesterday, that indeed there was a raid here. Now, we are somewhere that is very hidden, Vicky. First, to get this location, we had to go around almost 20 minutes just looking for the same spot. We had to go around it almost 3 times, regardless of using GPRS or trying to trace it through phone calls. It's not clear where this building is, but it's somewhere in Westlands. So after we got here, we learned that the raiders, some who are hooded and they had guns, and that is the reason why they're thinking that this was done by the police, because they had guns and they had all the characteristics of a security raid. They jumped over the gate, Vicky. Once they jumped over the gate, there have been questions that have been raised. What happened? How comes the doors were broken if you're telling us indeed there were people inside? Now, we have since learned that the main door, and we'll be showing the pictures later in our story, the main door was not broken. However, there are sections in this building which essentially should be a residential building upstairs that there are offices. Then we have downstairs where essentially, if this was a residential building, should be a sitting room and a dining. That's where we are doing this currently. This live link is there are several doors. So what they did, the outside main door is actually metallic and wooden inside. They couldn't have broken it. But once you are inside, there were several pockets of doors that were locked. So those are some of the doors that were broken into here, and we have those pictures of the broken doors. Once they were inside, what they did is to ransack everywhere. This place, and my camera lady will pan, and you can see it was already set up, Vicky, for sort of a tallying center and monitoring. It has screens all over. We have working desks here, and we have sort of a conference area right at the entrance. Now, you could see activity of people who are sitting here. They have drinks on the table, soft drinks on the table. They have their documents on the table. They were working here. So they have basically ransacked the whole of this place, and partly upstairs, and they pulled out cables. They have main switches, pulled out cables from main switches, computer connections, and we have also learned now, Vicky, that they cut away some of the desktops that they were working with here. So basically, it's a raid that occurred at around 8 p.m. Now, we also have new information, because also NASA is saying yesterday they had part of their friends, 2 gentlemen from Ghana, who are coming here to help them with the technical bit, not necessarily sit and operate the machines, but to advise them, because they have gone through this on what exactly is happening, how IBC has configured its system, how that system will work. So the 2 gentlemen from Ghana were yesterday deported. They have promised to give us their documents and names so that we can know that this was indeed true, that some people are deported. Then we have 1 American and 1 Canadian who have since gone missing. They don't know essentially where they're being held by the police. But James Orengo also confirmed that he spoke to Michael Godek, who is the U.S. ambassador, who confirmed that the American citizen and the Canadian possibly are somewhere being held by the police. So indeed, they have been arrested. They are also promising to furnish us with those details, Victoria. And later on, they are going to address a rally at Uhuru Park. You know, it's their final rally, and they're promising even to give more information on this raid. But basically, that's what happened. They're saying this is not a huge dent. They have several tallying centers all over the nation. They're not affected, but the motive bothers them why this will happen at this time.